Hi folks, HR Funk here with number 40 in my series on Law Enforcement Qualification Course Challenge videos. Now if you've not seen any of the other videos in this series up to this point, what I'm attempting to do is to fire a law enforcement qualification course from each of the 50 states for the purpose of comparing and contrasting those courses and ultimately trying to determine what I think is the best law enforcement firearms qualification course in the country. Now this series does focus on duty handgun qualifications, and in the future I might do another series on rifle and shotgun qualifications. Today's duty handgun qualification course comes to us from the state of Oregon. Now before I go on, I have to admit that the origins of this course that I have here are somewhat dubious. In fact, the origins of this course are another YouTube video. The gentleman who made that video indicated that he was employed in law enforcement in Oregon and that this course was used in the academy that he attended. When I watched that video, I tried to transcribe exactly what he was saying and what he was showing in the video. And there are a couple of points that I'm a little bit fuzzy on. So some of you in Oregon, if you see this and it's not quite right, just understand that I didn't have anyone that I could ask for clarification on any of these stages. I was able to compare this course to another one from Oregon that's used for retired law enforcement officers who are qualifying under the LEOSA. And the courses were similar enough that I believe this one is a legitimate course from Oregon. But again, I wish I could ask a few questions and get a little bit of clarification on this. In any regard, the course that I'm about to shoot is divided into 5 stages that take place at distances as close as 2 yards to the target and as far away as 15 yards from the target. The course has a qualification standard of 100%, meaning 100% of the rounds that are fired have to be in the proper target area. Now this is not an official Oregon qualification target. This is, as you see, just the standard B27 target. And from looking at the video, the target that the gentleman was using was one that he had made himself, and I was trying to get the dimensions of the proper scoring area, and they appeared to be about the same as the 8-ring in the B27. So I'm going to try to keep all of the shots that I fire inside of the 8-ring. In fact, the 8-ring might even be just a little bit smaller than the scoring area he had on his target. So I think this is going to work as far as meeting the qualification standard for Oregon. This is a 25-round course of fire, and as I said, it's divided into 5 stages. As always, I'll explain each stage before I start to shoot that stage so you know what you're about to see. And it's time to meet today's challenger. For this Oregon course, I thought it would be fun to bring out my Springfield Armory Hellcat 9mm pistol. Some of you may recall that I reviewed this pistol earlier in the year, and in fact this pistol was a birthday gift to me from my lovely wife and daughter. How cool is that? And I thought I would add an element of challenge to this course. I believe this is the smallest compact pistol that I've fired on one of these qualification courses, so it should be fun. And in just a couple of minutes I'm going to get things set up and ready to go, and we'll see how the Springfield Armory Hellcat pistol does against this Oregon law enforcement handgun qualification course. And here we go. This Oregon course starts out at a distance of 2 yards from the target. The shooter begins with the firearm secured in the holster, and on a signal to fire, the shooter has to draw, assume a close quarter retention position, and fire 2 rounds into the body of the target in a time limit of 5 seconds. For stage 2, I'm back to a distance of 3.5 yards from the target. From here, on the signal to fire, I have to draw, and with my dominant hand only, fire 3 rounds into the body of the target. Then I transfer the pistol to my non-dominant hand and fire 3 more rounds into the body of the target, all in a time limit of 14 seconds. And it's on to stage 3. For stage 3, I'm back to a distance of 7 yards from the target. And from here, I once again begin with the firearm secured in the holster. On a signal to fire, I have to draw and fire 6 rounds into the body of the target with a 2-hand shooting grip. Then I perform a reload with retention and fire 2 more rounds into the body of the target in a time limit of 14 seconds. Now, this is another one of these stages that tactically doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It feels like they want to get a stage in here for a reload with retention, but if I'm engaging a hostile threat and I've fired some number of rounds and I'm then covering that threat thinking that I might again have to fire more rounds in self-defense, I don't think I would choose that time, particularly not when I'm behind cover or anything else, to reload my firearm with a fresh magazine. I would have however many rounds were left in there that I could still use if I needed to defend myself. Then, if I ran out, I could perform an emergency reload and keep firing if that was necessary. So this stage, and I saw this recently in another course that I was firing, doesn't really make sense to me. I think it would make a lot more sense if we were performing our reload with retention behind cover, presumably when there was a lull in the shooting and the shooter, or the officer rather, could do that safely, rather than doing it while covering a suspect and then all of a sudden, immediately after performing your reload with retention, you have to start firing again. That just doesn't make sense. I don't know why anyone would do that. But regardless of whether it makes sense or not, that's what the next stage calls for, so that's what I'm going to do. The next stage is one of the ones that I was kind of fuzzy on. The way it was demonstrated in the video that I watched was the shooter begins with the firearm secured in the holster. On a signal to fire, the shooter has to draw and fire 2 rounds into the body of the target, then scan for additional threats and reholster. That drill is repeated twice, and the time limit given in the video was 25 seconds for the drill. So I take it that there's a 25-second time period, and during that time the shooter is given 3 different commands to fire, during which the shooter has to draw and fire 2 rounds to the body and then scan for targets. That's a little unusual to time a stage that way, but again, that's the way I understood it from the video that I watched. So what I've done to make it possible for me to do that is I set my timer to a limit of 8 seconds. So when you hear the first beep, I'm going to draw, fire 2 rounds into the body of the target, scan for additional threats, and reholster, and then I'll activate the timer again. It'll give me another random signal to start, and I'll repeat the drill 2 more times. So when I get all done, since I have it for 8 seconds in 3 different segments, I will have fired this drill in 24 seconds. So I believe I'm coming in under the standard that's used in Oregon, and also completing the drill of firing 2 shots and scanning for additional threats and then returning the pistol to the holster. So here we go. Let's see how this looks. Last stage of the course, folks, and this stage does take place from behind a position of cover. The shooter begins standing with the firearm secured in the holster. On a signal to fire, the shooter moves to a position of cover and fires 1 round from the right side of cover, 1 round from over top of cover, and 1 round from the left side of cover, all in a time limit of 10 seconds. Oh, and my very last shot from the left side of cover made it outside of the 8 ring and into the 7 ring. So as I understand the scoring that I saw in that video, this would not be a passing score, even though everything else is inside the 9 ring on this target. So I think what I'll do is give this one more try. I don't know in Oregon if a shooter doesn't complete the course properly the first time, if that shooter has to reshoot the entire course or just reshoot the stage that they had a problem with. For the sake of the demonstration, I'll shoot this one more time and see if I can get all 3 of these inside the 8 ring. Okay, that second time through was a little more like it. All those shots stayed inside the 9 ring. This one tried to make it out into the 8 ring, but it broke the line, so that would still count as a 9. So someone from Oregon will have to let me know. I'm not sure how this would actually be scored in Oregon. This is the first course, the number 40 so far is the first one that I haven't passed on my first attempt to go through it. But even so, as I said a minute ago, I don't know if a shooter would have to reshoot the entire 25 round course or just reshoot that stage they had a problem with. In any case, somebody from Oregon let me know. This course in general is kind of different from what we've seen, both in what it includes and what is not in this course. The one thing glaring that's in almost every course that's not in this one is reloading under time. There was no emergency reload where you shot until the slide locked back, and then performed an emergency reload and then continued shooting. So that's kind of an interesting thing to be left out, an interesting omission, I guess. Also, as we've seen with the other 25 round courses, there really were a lot of things that you didn't see in this course that we've seen in some of the more complex courses. We didn't see the walking and shooting, we didn't see the talking to the targets, we didn't see any kind of forced transition. We did have right and left hand only shooting. We had some close range shooting. The farthest distance fired in this course is 15 yards. And of course that's the stage I had the problem with. And the biggest problem I had there was not so much the shooting that was required. It's really not a difficult shot from 15 yards, especially when you're resting on some kind of cover. But when I came around to the left side of cover, I was a little off balance as I was leaning out, and as I squeezed the shot, the sights looked good, but obviously they weren't quite good enough, and that shot leaked out just into the 7 ring. So there's a little bit of a challenge there, more from the time limit than the actual shooting. The other time limits in this course are fairly generous. I didn't really feel rushed, I don't think, in any other stage except that one. So I guess that's a good 15-yard stage, but the other phases in this course, or the other stages in this course, probably could be tightened up a little bit in terms of time limit, and again, some more stages and some more rounds could be added to make this a better tool for assessing the gunfighting abilities of the officers that are undergoing qualification. And here's the final look at today's Challenger. My Springfield Armory Hellcat performed 100% reliably, even if I did not. This is a great little pistol, and as I mentioned when I did my review of the Hellcat, I really like this little pistol. It's got a great trigger. Obviously, it shoots very well, and this course was designed for a full-size duty pistol with a full-length sight radius. Even so, the Hellcat was not difficult to shoot on this course, and other than the one bad shot that was my fault, it performed very well. So again, this is a great little pistol. One more close-up look, and if you're considering purchasing a Hellcat, I can't recommend them highly enough. And that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you forward those to me, As a reminder, this is number 40 out of 50 states, so I've got 4/5 of the country done. I've got 10 courses to go, and I still need courses from 4 states. As a reminder, I need a course from Hawaii, I need a course from West Virginia, I need a course from Rhode Island, and I need a course from Kentucky. If you have access to those courses and you can get them to me, please let me know in the comments section. As I've said in past videos, if those states don't have a statewide mandatory course and someone can get me a course from an individual agency, I will use that agency course to represent the state. If you can get me targets, that's fantastic. Let me know that as well, and I'll give you a mailing address where you can send those targets to. But that's it for number 40, and at the end of this video, stay tuned, because I am going to, as I do at the end of each group of 10 courses, go back through the various pistols that were used in each one of this group of 10, and all of you get a chance to vote on your favorite pistol. And then I'll announce during that wrap-up video which firearm you all selected as your favorite one out of this group of 10. Also, the main portion, or the main reason for that video, is to announce the course that won out of this group of 10, which will join the other 3 semifinalists that I have, and will ultimately join the next one that I choose from the next group of 10 to be selected as the best law enforcement firearms qualification course in the country. And again, I'll go over the selection criteria, I'll break down all the courses, I'll go over my notes, and I'll review the critical skills that were tested by each one of the courses that you've seen in this group of 10. And again, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you order anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 5% off anything you purchase from Optics Planet. See you next time, folks. And until then, good shooting. Bye-bye. Thanks for sticking around, folks. And as promised, here's the recap on the 10 handguns used during this group of 10 qualification course challenge videos. First up was the Louisiana course with my 3-inch Smith & Wesson Model 66 Combat Magnum chambered for the .357 Magnum cartridge. That was followed by the Delaware course with my Remington Model 1911 R1 Enhanced Commander. Next came the Pennsylvania course, and on that one I used my Smith & Wesson M&P 9 2.0. And then came the New Hampshire course. On that one I used my Smith & Wesson Model 629 Mountain Gun chambered for the .44 Magnum cartridge. Yes, I am going to be shooting this course with the city of New York. And New York was next. The New York course featured my Smith & Wesson Model 5943 chambered for the 9mm cartridge. This is actually a former duty weapon of mine, 3.0 45. And then came the Tennessee course with my Smith & Wesson M&P 45 2.0. Mark III high power. After that was the New Mexico course, and for New Mexico I used my Browning high power Mark III. Last year, it's been over a year ago when I fired this. That was followed by the Montana course, and for the Montana course I used my Beretta M9 9mm. This would be a fun pistol to bring out for this Montana course. Smith & Wesson. Next up was Wyoming, and for that one I used my Smith & Wesson Model 745 chambered for the .45 ACP. And last was the Oregon course that you just watched, and for that one I used my Springfield Armory Hellcat, also chambered for the 9mm cartridge. So there you go, folks. That's all 10 of the pistols that I used during this group of 10 qualification course challenge videos. I'll annotate along the bottom how long I'm going to accept votes for this before I tabulate everything and put it together for a future video where I announce which one you all picked as your favorite. As a reminder, you can vote however you'd like to. The most common way is to just leave a comment in the comments section voting for whichever firearm you want to select as the one that was your most favorite in this group of 10. Now, as usual, no ballot box stuffing, just one vote per viewer. Also, make sure you just vote for one. Sometimes when I do this, I get people that say, well, my favorite are this and this and this. They'll give me 2 or 3 different selections. Just vote for one. That makes it easier to tabulate. And also, as I said, when I get all of the votes in by the date that I put on this video, then I'll tabulate it and I'll announce which one you picked as your favorite for this group of 10 firearms used in the qualification course challenge videos. See you next time, folks. And until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.